Hi everyone, welcome to Solway Mushrooms. If you're returning, welcome back. On this channel we cover everything from cultivation to foraging. Today we're going to be covering some inoculation on some popcorn tech or drippy corn tech. This is my first run of popcorn tech. I got the instructions and tutorial from Philly Golden Teacher. So if you haven't been at his channel, go check him out. He's got some awesome videos and he's helped me immensely on my cultivation journey. I think it's brilliant what you can use for grains. Honestly, you can use wild bird seed, millet. Millet's my go-to. Popcorn, rye, oats. God, the list goes on. Anyway, today I'm going to be covering some inoculation. One with liquid culture, one with agar. Excuse the jazz hands. I was talking through this video, but the noise of the flow hood was just too unbearable. So I've done a voiceover instead. So you can do all this in a still air box. I've got an intro to still air box video on my channel as well. Check that out if you want. I primarily use the flow hood nowadays because I've got one, and it's a lot easier to show people what I'm doing as well. You don't have the plastic in the way or anything like that. So you can see here I'm practicing sterile tech. Everything gets cleaned with isopropyl alcohol. Sterile things only get opened up right before they get used. For example, the scalpel here that I'm putting onto the scalpel handle. I was trying to put this on by hand, but I grabbed some forceps, and I advise you to do the same, to be honest, because they're quite cheap off Amazon or wherever you want to get them. And it's one of my nightmare scenarios of imagining that packet slipping open and it's slicing right through my finger. So these jars on the right, the two of them that I'm loosening the caps off now, I'm going to be inoculating them with a fully colonised agar plate. And the agar plate is a transfer from a winter oyster clone that I found locally, about 200 metres away from my house, down the river. When we're inoculating with petri dishes, we want to make sure our blade's clean, and this is straight out the packet, so there's no dramas with that. And then we cut the plate into multiple sections, as you can see I'm doing here. I'm going to divide this plate between the two jars. So it didn't really come off the plate too well. You'll see me like jazz handing it up here and getting a bit frustrated, and bits of agar will fly about as usual. They just didn't want to leave the comfort of the petri dish, to be honest. So I hope you're enjoying watching me be all fingers and thumbs here. It's I feel like I'm jacking on you a bit, making you sit through this, to be honest. It's frustrating at best to watch this, and I bet you're shouting at the TV or whatever you're watching on, going like, oh my god, who is this guy? Yep, still struggling there. Nope, last little bit going in, happy days. Right, cool, let's close that up and get the lid on. That was frustrating as out. So I used a fresh scalpel right out of the packet, surgical scalpel, all sterilised and all the rest of it for the first jar. Second time round though, I'm going to use that blade again, and I'm going to use my thermohelix here, you can see on the left hand side of the screen. And what a thermohelix is, well, it's a brand of an induction coil, and that heats the scalpel up to be red hot. That's what we want. We want things to be red hot to kill any potential contam or anything that it might pick up in between the transfers. So that's what I did there, and the second agar section's going in, and it's flipping about the place, sticking onto the petri dish. I think there's some bits that flew towards me as well. It's just like total amateur over here today. It's been one of them days, huh? So if you haven't dipped your toes in agar, I recommend you do it. It's one of the most flexible things you can do with mycology and cultivation in general at home. It's you can use it to make liquid culture. You can use it to inoculate grains like I've done there. You can transfer it. You can use it to clone wild mushrooms. You can use it to clone particularly nice looking or large cultivated mushrooms. It's a really good bit of kit. So I'm just sterilising again before we go on using the liquid culture here in the middle. And we want to be cleaning ourselves and want to be cleaning everything between as well. I've got 5 ml here in this syringe, and I'm going to split it 50-50, 2.5 ml in each of these jars here. It's a brand new needle, straight out of the pack, sterile, so I don't need to flame sterilise it for this first jar. So I'll squeeze in half, and then I'm going to flame sterilize it in between. Again, we're trying to get it red hot. This lighter's not too good at that, to be honest. I got it smoking though, and the tip was red hot, so it'll do for me. And then we're on to the next jar. Don't worry about the self-healing injection port, about it getting burnt or anything. They're usually quite resilient. So, ta-da! All done. Right. So, we're going to mark all the jars up now. We're going to mark them up with what they are, and we're going to mark them up with the date prior to going into the inoculation chamber. Now, as I'm marking up this jar, you'll see that the jar's cracked. Here's a little zoom in for you. I had no idea that was cracked, so a bit of a oversight there. However, I decided to totally cowboy it and get a new jar lid and spray it with isopropyl and give it a good rub and dry it with a piece of paper towel and just cross everything, hoping that these grains don't get contaminated. So I reckon it's got a good chance staying clean. However, I'll mark it up on the jar lid just so that I know if there's any contam comes by. It's probably likely because of that. I don't know, these have been sat down in the kitchen out with the pressure canner for quite a while, so they could have picked up anything from the kitchen. A little bit of trichoderma from some mouldy fruit or whatever. So you can see me trying to totally fingers and thumbs, like trying to take a jar off of a lid off another jar and all sorts. However, we got there in the end. Yeah, this isn't my first time doing this, despite what it looks like today. However, yeah, so I'm going to mark that up. I'm going to write contam ? On top of it. And that way, if I see any mould or anything like that, then I know that this is not exactly a sterilised lead. But we'll see how it goes. So these jars are all ready for the inoculation chamber. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was useful to you. If you did, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Check us out on socials, Solid Without Mushrooms.